of the components of recovery that I don't think I've ever done it as a full topic before, but I speak about it frequently, is my perception of recovery and the dark cloud that I get when I recognize that my recovery is not always about rainbows and butterflies. And that kind of pisses me off. Like, in my head, that's exactly what it should be. And nobody asked me. So I didn't get to tell anybody my definition, except for you guys. So I want to speak in a little bit to that of what the hell is recovery, not just at the HC, but, well, specifically at the HC, not just in our culture, but also hopefully it is validating around, oh, well, maybe I am in recovery. Like, I've had several moments over the years like that where what was reflected back to me by a fellow traveler was, actually, I think that is absolutely recovery. But because my body didn't feel light and excited and happy, I didn't recognize it as such. So recovery at the HC is working towards becoming or remembering my truest and highest self. And in that process, it is so much about this stabilization period where I recognize there's something in there that I've been numbing and medicating. What I don't really need to know what that is. And most of us can't know what that is by ourselves. And so we join a recovery group, we and or do therapy and explore, what is it that I keep doing this to with all the numbers and medicators. Numbers and medicators being sex, porn, food, shopping, screens, people pleasing, exercise, like anything can be numbing and medicating. What determines whether it's numbing and medicating is I use it in excess. And when I use it in excess, it hurts me or it hurts someone else. And frequently in relationships, I will be challenged by couples or families, like not in a bad way, but I'm challenged with, well, I didn't hurt anybody with that. And the recognition is that they're struggling with is they don't realize how they hurt themselves, which is so much of our numbing and medicating. Is most of it is self-harm, right? Because it's allowing me to check out. Now, I want to create a discrepancy in, just because I dissociate does not mean I'm not in recovery. Dissociation is a powerful coping mechanism that, if I do it in excess, can it cause problems? Well, of course, but anything can. Just because I dissociate does not mean I'm not in recovery. I was dissociated the other day, like fully going through Target, going, oh shit, get me out of here. Because it's too overwhelming to my sensory system. But when you think about recovery, it is like taking off the stuff that was put on me, the things I picked up, the things that I wasn't really given a choice. There was an expectation that I would do it. And because I wasn't given a choice, now today, as an adult and in my adult self, I recognize I'm not in alignment with that, or that doesn't serve me. The ability to explore that, put that down, take that off is absolutely recovery. And part of that process can be really fucking uncomfortable. For a lot of ACAers, my program, Adult Child of Alcoholic and Dysfunctional Families, for a lot of ACAers, that can include things like religion. That can include things like money. It's not a coincidence as an ACAer that there are several insecurities that I will struggle with. My body, money, food, and relationships. That's not a coincidence. So being able to look at when I explore those relationships, because they've been a part of my numbing and medicating, AKA my survival, it doesn't mean, number one, that it's going to be rainbows and butterflies, unfortunately. And because it's been a part of my world for so long, it's not going to be easy. I want to invite the perspective, or consider the perspective, that not all of us started numbing and medicating as adults. I do realize how that sounds, and I do realize that that's scary. And when I'm raised in a home of dysfunction, remember, that doesn't have to be things are happening to me, like abuse. When I'm raised in a home of dysfunction, that can also mean that it's unpredictable. That can also mean that I'm not getting things that I need, and because I'm a kid, I don't even know I need them. It can also be what I need that I didn't get, right? Trauma is about an experience. It's not about an event. So when I look at my backstory, the more I look at it, the more I have support in being able to look at it, the more I can recognize how old I was when I started numbing and medicating. And I speak about this topic very gently because I want it to be very, very clear that I'm not bad or wrong because I'm numbing and medicating. I'm surviving. Shit is happening that my little brain and my little body at the time could not process. And so what do I do with that? I survive, I numb and medicate, dissociate, whatever I need to do. Well, when I'm going through my process of recovery and I'm taking off the shit that doesn't fit me, identity, religion, financial insecurity, like all these huge, big ass topics, as an adult, oftentimes my younger self is the one that's coming forward trying to figure out how to do that. My younger self is the one that's feeling afraid. Don't put that down. I want to introduce a topic tonight, and I've not talked about this one before, mostly because you guys know I don't talk about a topic that I'm working on. And there is a concept called escape hatch or trapdoor. And that is an experience in childhood, teenage years, young adulthood, where there may have been active suicidality. And it also may have been this thought of, I just don't want to be here. I just don't care if I don't wake up. Like, it may not be as cognitive and concrete as I'm going to hurt myself. It may just be this theme of, I don't want to wake up. I don't want to be here anymore. That's called an escape hatch. That's actually, in a very scary way, very healthy, because it allows the human experience to determine how much of this we're going to put up with. And having an escape hatch or a trap door is a way out. I didn't say it was healthy to do that. I said it's healthy to recognize that I have a choice. So as adults, when we're walking around and we still have this trap door, this escape hatch from our backstory, and that version of ourself is still acknowledging that that's an option, as an adult, I'm still going to have some of those thoughts. Again, I may not have a plan. I may not even do anything, but it can also be the theme of, I don't really care if I'm not here anymore, or maybe it's not easy. Maybe it's easier if I'm not here. Those are really scary thoughts when our prefrontal cortex is on. That's logic. Those are really scary. And in recovery, it's the ability to sit with that, explore it, and just be able to listen to it. Because so many of us, part of our wound is not being seen, not being heard, not feeling like I have worth. So having a trap door or an escape hatch, it's because there's an assumption that it won't hurt anybody. Like, if I don't have any worth and I'm not seen and heard, nobody will care. And to a little brain that's really concrete, all or nothing, developmentally that's appropriate, it becomes a solution. It's not a very effective one because it's not going to get me what I want. and it's still a solution. So as an adult, when I have these periods of regression where maybe I break up a long-term relationship, or maybe I go through a divorce, or maybe I, heaven forbid, something happens to one of my kids, there is this option of this trapdoor escape hatch because it was an option of a younger version of myself. And as an adult in recovery, it can be really scary when I'm going through all of those feelings, when it's not rainbows and butterflies. It can be really confusing that this is recovery. Recovery means I'm able to be emotionally available. Emotional sobriety means I'm able to sit with feelings, be in my feelings, and recognize those feelings. Recovery does not mean that I cope with all the struggles well and nothing gets to me. That is the biggest myth about recovery and mental wellness. That is not what those things mean. As a human, life is going to happen because I'm powerless over everything except for me. So all the feelings on the feeling wheel, don't ask me how many there is now, all the feelings and emotions on the feeling wheel, my body has a right to experience. And that's the statement I want you to remember in recovery, is that so often in my backstory, teenage years, tween, child, our body did not have the permission to experience those feelings. And if I am experiencing those today, it's likely because my recovery self, my adult self, is able to sit with it. Doesn't feel like fucking rainbows and butterflies. We can get stuck in them, which means I don't know what to do with this. Like, I don't know how to handle this feeling of depression, or I don't know how to cope with this feeling of rejection, whether I wanted it or not, like whether I was the one that initiated the breakup or the divorce. It is that younger version of myself that the core wound that's being hit on is a lack of worth, not being seen and heard, not being a priority. So when those things pop up again, and when I feel stuck in them, it may be that that's the part of reparenting that I need support with. How do I do that? Like, what would that look like? Because it doesn't mean my tools aren't working. It means that I'm stuck because maybe she or he is right. Maybe this does fucking suck. Maybe he or she is right, and you're right. You shouldn't have to put up with this. In a place where that becomes a solution, you don't have to put up with this. It's not a, I don't have to put up with this. It's a, fuck no, you don't have to put up with that. Like, we're not in that anymore. So bringing reality into present state and inviting that younger version of myself with me, recognizing that as long as that trap door or that escape hatch is a solution, I might feel stuck. I might feel like there isn't a solution, because as long as that's there and she or he isn't willing to close it, like for good, forever, that can be pretty scary, especially in recovery. Because that's my role as therapist, not just healer. But a therapist is one that hears and supports someone who no longer wants to live. We as humans, that is very triggering, especially when it's someone we love. We want to fix it. We want to scoop them up and take them out of the problem. We want to make them feel better. And when there is that emotional connection or that trauma triggering, I'm not going to be able, if that is me, because I can't therapize myself, I'm not going to be able to sit with her by myself and give her the space and the right to have those feelings. Because if I look back to that time, especially in my story, when she absolutely had an escape hatch, and she, just owning this, will not permanently close it. Because she has a right to recognize that I'm never going to live that again, ever. So when we look at recovery and it's remembering or becoming our truest and highest self, it is recognizing that the toolbox has all of the things could be a solution. It may be something that we, like critical parent, are going to say, no, that's not how we talk anymore. And it also may sound something like, you're right. That is not okay. You were treated like that. And we might need some support to figure out what we need to get unstuck. Because maybe that's a wound we haven't tapped into yet. Maybe that's an area that we don't know how to get out of yet. And I'm so glad that you said it to me. I'm so glad you're talking to me. Because I want to hear it, even if it's scary. Yeah. That can also be recovery. Not trying to be polarized, but kind of the fucking opposite of rainbows and butterflies, right? Doesn't feel good to hear. And if I can right size and I can say, God, I'm so glad you didn't hold that in. I'm so glad you told me. I don't want you to deal with that all by yourself. I'm being seen and heard, which is the first step. So I'm going to stop the recording and let you guys